Hi, I am Ole and I'm at Villa de Bank in Enschede, and this is Art Safari. In Art Safari, we cut our way through the jungle of contemporary culture, and today we're taken on that journey by Pierre Chaumont. Pierre is a Canadian artist who did a residency at Are in Enschede. He gives us a glimpse into the Canadian art scene and tells us where for him art stops and daily life begins. He explains to us why he built a memorial for a stray dog that turned into a symbol for Greek rioters in the 2010s.
Because you're from Montreal?
Yeah.
Or how do you pronounce it? Montreal?
Montreal.
Montreal. Yeah.
Mm.
I have no clue.
You just don't see the T. You don't say the T. You say Montreal.
Yeah. But there's a big difference between Canadian French and French French.
Yeah. But the thing is, I was born in France and I've been living in Canada for the last 26 years.
What was it like for you as a Frenchman to move to Canada?
Well, I got the usual kind of banter because I arrived in the 90s actually in Canada. And in the 90s, there was not a lot of exchange between Europe and Canada. So, and I arrived also in a really small town, which is still known actually, for being, for having the Santa Claus theme park.
A Santa Claus theme park?
Yeah. So
year round?
Yeah, year round. You can come in summer and see Santa Claus.
Is it because it's always snowing or?
No, it's just because they have nothing else in this city. So
okay.
It's because, I was living there and then I was like, the French guy. So I was the only French guy. So I had like the usual stereotypes of a French guy. Is it true that every time you walk in the street, you have a baguette under your arm and things like this? So when you're 9-year-old, you're
is it true?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. Maybe I need to go with the friends to see if it's still true.
Yeah, because I've not been in France for a while.
Okay.
2 years now. So.
And when you were there, were they?
I was in the countryside. And
they had no baguette?
No, but it's true that the farmers, you don't understand what they say. But it's mostly because I don't speak French. So.
Yeah, that's it's usually.
But there's a lot of drinking, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody is always I don't speak French. There you go. I can do
that's
something.
Why we have alcohol.
But it will be very insulting to people who do speak French.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. But it's all in the maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And in the drinking.
Yes. I've had one beer.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
the ends will try if it's better. Okay. Well, hey, it's Pierre, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because again, I'm not used to the language, so pronunciation can be off. You know, maybe it's Pierre. Pierre. And your last name is
Chaumont.
Chaumont. Pierre Chaumont. No,
Chaumont.
Shlomo is
Shlomo is the artist, no? Or
Shlomo Koren.
It's also a singer, I think.
I don't know. It's a Israeli name.
Yeah, Shlomo.
Yeah. You are now doing a residency at Are.
Yes.
In Enschede.
Yes.
Yeah, which is how you end up here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I ended up here because of this.
But
there are cameras acting up again.
Oh no!
It's blinking regularly.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Well, actually, it turns a bit pinkish and greenish, so it's
doing green and black right now.
Really?
Green and black.
So
that's
continue
nice.
doing the beatboxing because that's quite suitable. Really.
This intermission is brought to you by Art Safari Beer, the only malt you need for here.
That's quite good actually, and it's on timing with the.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it doing now? Still the same stuff.
Artifacting but stable.
Artifacting but stable. It's not the camera, is it? Okay.
If you turn it on and off again.
Shall we try doing that?
The good old turn it on and off again.
It's the what do you call the
percussive maintenance as well.
Yeah, exactly.
What is it doing now?
Stable.
Okay, well maybe that actually worked.
You see? It's always this.
We need backup cameras as well. It's gonna cost a shit ton of money to get everything fixed. So
it appears to be stable.
Is it stable? Okay, well we'll figure it out. And else we have to figure. We have to take one camera and turn it back and forth.
Oh,
That can be quite artistic as well.
really?
Yeah, we're full of solutions.
Tell me
Not
when
all-
you do this. I want to see it.
Well, yeah, you'll notice. Yeah.
Oh, good.
But before you ended up here,
Yes.
and you ended up in Aarde, well, I'm curious how you end up at Aarde to begin with. How did you end up at Aarde to begin with?
It was a great story.
Do tell.
I sent my portfolio, and they accepted me.
It's crazy.
That's it.
How can this happen? Well,
The
no,
internet.
but you must have heard about it somewhere.
No,
No.
only on the internet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just saw it somewhere floating about. And
Yeah.
figured, oh yeah, Enschede, it's like the Detroit of the Netherlands. Let's go there.
Yeah, but I actually went to Detroit, and that's crazy. That's a
Yeah,
nice
that's a
city.
great
So,
place.
and Enschede has the same vibe actually.
Yeah.
In the new media kind of undergroundish art scene, it's similar. It's actually
Yeah.
similar.
We have less gang violence.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yes.
I mean, we're working on that. So Yeah.
I've never heard as many explosions in my life as in Enschede.
really,
Yeah, every day there's a firework explosion. I don't know what you're doing, but
that's not me. I
Okay.
can't take any credit for that.
Okay.
But it is normal here. Yeah, the more you get towards New Year's, the more they take up on in frequency.
Yeah.
But they're there year round. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some. I don't know what it is. I once went to a house where there was these guys building a big fire, and then some reason the fireworks started coming out.
Oh.
And I'm like, I never understood why they do this kind of stuff. But for them, it was kind of like, it gives them some kind of like some tribal stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Primal,
So maybe
yeah.
it is a way to regain some elementary human aspect of tribalism.
Possible. And it's funny because Enschede, seeing the story of the history of Enschede and the problem they had with fireworks, it's kind of...
This year they're coming with a big fireworks show from Amsterdam to Enschede. And I was curious because knowing the history of Enschede, I was like, why are the people from the West? We have this like, I don't know if you have something comparable with it in Canada. We have this kind of West versus East thing. Like competitiveness.
Yeah.
Because the West is all the government and we're basically farmers. And we don't like government because we're farmers. And then the government says, well, yeah, but you're still Dutch. You have to do what we say. And we're like, no, we don't want to, but in the end you have to.
Okay.
So this and then the Amsterdam people come here with their fireworks show and everyone is like, that's not really suitable to come to Enschede with a big fireworks show, knowing what happens.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
it's like, I don't know, doing an airplane show in
New York,
Manhattan.
Yeah. It's like,
that would be a
bit off. Yeah.
You don't have this fireworks stuff in France, in Canada. Then
actually, Montreal is hosts every summer an international competition of fireworks.
Competition?
So, international, and it's the most important in the world. So what they do actually is between, I think it's end of June to beginning of August, twice a week, you have countries that spend between $200,000 and $300,000 in a show for 30 minutes. And then we have a bridge because Montreal actually is an island. So we have a bridge that just crosses over the place, and we close the bridge and people walk on the bridge and just look at the show. So
in the summer?
Yeah, in the summer.
But I mean, here the fireworks is usually in the winter.
Yeah.
But you have like the 4th of July kind of thing, or?
We have, no. Okay, so you were talking about East versus West.
Yeah.
Us, it's Anglos versus Francos.
Yeah.
So National Canada Day is the 1st of July.
Yeah.
All right. But Quebec National Day, which is the Franco, is the 24th of June.
Ah.
And for us, on the 1st of July, it's the National Moving Day. So all your lease for your apartment, they change on July 1st.
Oh,
so
right.
In Quebec, we don't celebrate Canada Day.
Because you don't have time to do so.
Yeah, you just move from an apartment to another.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But it's I can imagine in a country where you have a national government,
Yeah.
that can prove complicated if the government would say, well, on the July 1st you're free because it's a holiday, and on, or do they also have free on June the 24th?
I think, yeah, these 2 days are national holidays because Quebec, as francophone, is recognized as a nation within a greater nation of Canada. So you have the French-speaking nation, which is Quebec, and then we have our own national holiday, which has no relation to anyone else in the rest of Canada. But then Canada Day is for the rest of Canada.
Yeah. So you get a lot of people coming from Anglo to the Franco to celebrate with the Francos as well? Or
they if they want, they sure.
Lock down the bridge.
They lock down the bridge. Usually they lock down the bridge.
No Francos in our town.
No Anglos in our town.
Okay.
No, usually it's this, It's like, because it's a complex relationship between Anglos and Francos, and especially since the 60s. And so...
Why? I know very little about this relationship.
Because until what we call the silent revolution, until the 60s in Quebec, you could never be higher than an accountant. So all the highest deciding jobs or leading jobs in the government were basically for Anglos. So in the 60s there was a silent revolution because it was not like a normal revolution, no fighting or anything, but there was a kind of a change in society, and then from there on it became possible for French-speaking Canadian to become leader of a company or CEO or anything, or be in the government to a higher position.
Right. So this has something to do with the independence maybe, or how does that go? Because I can imagine that there's, or is it just the old relationship between the English and the French?
Yeah, it's because it's the old relationship, and also the 60s, not only in Quebec, but in the rest of the world, were a lot of independence movement, especially through Africa and Southeast Asia. And then it happened also in Quebec, where instead of being dictated by people in Ottawa in the Anglo side, Quebec decided to, we are going to, for example, we nationalized electricity. Yeah. So a certain company became Quebec owned and Quebec governed. Yeah. So it became a kind of empowerment since the 60s for French speakers.
Yeah. Because I remember around that period also the Americans invading Vietnam, which used to be French owned.
Yes, Indochine, yes.
Yeah. So why didn't they go to Quebec to kind of fix it?
Because actually we had only one war with the American, and they lost.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, if you know Canadian Army, we were really lucky. That's maybe the only win we could be proud of. But yeah, it was in the 1816. Yeah, so we won against the American, but then afterward, they said, "Hey, come on, man."
Yeah, that's like Joe Biden. Come on, man.
It's all right, man.
All right. What is it like to grow up in the Santa Claus town as a kid? I can imagine that either you are like really big fan of Christmas or you really hate it.
Well, I was there from 9 to 15, so it was boring.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was boring. It was actually really boring.
But it's like when you have a big factory in town. Everybody works at the place. Or like in a coal factory.
It was just no. There was no central thing. It's really just a touristic town that actually a bike path goes from one place to another, and it brought a lot of tourists during the summer, and that's it. The rest of the time it's snow and.
But what is there to do?
Nothing.
Absolutely so it's just looking around, seeing the place.
Yeah, just waiting for people to.
No roller coaster themes.
No. You do it once, but then after that,
Yeah. Oh wow, it surprised me a lot because I had this romanticized idea about like you have a town and everybody works at the Santa Claus place and everything is always Christmas themed and Then you go outside and you're like, it's only Christmas once in your place. It's like, such poverty. Once a year only.
No, but you go once a year. It's like, it's like any attraction. You go once, it's nice. Twice, you know it. 3 times, you're like, eh.
Well, there's people moving to like Orlando to go to Disneyland World every day.
Every day?
Oh yeah. Oh, there's people going to Disney World.
Yeah, but there are people that are going to cults every day. It's a cult, but
the cult of Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be surprised all the things you cannot do in Disney because
do tell.
When I was in because I lived in Japan for 2 years.
Yeah.
There's a rule where you cannot come alone. If you're a man, you cannot come alone to Disneyland.
Really?
But, yeah.
At all?
At all. It's forbidden.
But as a woman, it's okay.
Yes. I mean, I don't
but
know.
Is there a reason for this?
Probably because they're afraid of kidnapping, or I don't know. I have no idea. No, quite frankly, I don't know. I'm just trying to make up something. No, but it's forbidden for men. Women can come, and you have it in Disneyland. You have people that are really extreme Disney fans, and they have like a small toy of Mickey Mouse, and then they go to the parade and they talk to Mickey and say, "Look, Mickey." But these are people like 40, 45 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, Mickey, and talk. Yeah, so
it's kind of to avoid these people.
Yeah.
So
it's a cult.
Outside of Disney World, Disneyland, Japan, you have a company that rents out girlfriends simply for these guys to go to the. I mean, that's a business, man. I can imagine.
Everything is a business.
Yeah.
I mean, what is not a business?
Well, I mean, yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Are there some things you can talk about, you could argue that aren't like viable businesses? Maybe it's more like a viable business.
If I was a businessman, I could tell you this, but I don't know. I'm not a businessman.
No. So, you managed to get out of the Christmas town.
Yes.
Must be a great story. And then you end up an artist somehow.
Yes. I end up so we came to Montreal when I was 15, and then my parents put me in a French school because they wanted me to have a French education. And I wanted to become a stand-up comedian first, but then I made a show, and I was tired of repeating the same jokes every night and people knowing when people will laugh and things like this. Yeah.
But people laughed.
Maybe at me, I don't know.
Okay.
Normally they were happy.
Okay,
like they, you know.
Yeah. But you weren't happy, so you needed to change.
Yeah. I need change in my life. And I was studying art history at the same time. And I really loved it, but I didn't want to be on the bench of art history. I said I want to be making art.
Yeah.
And I decided to become an artist, and and 12 years later I arrived in Enschede.
Yeah. But you've been all around. Were you an artist when you arrived in Japan as well? Or was this before you became an artist?
So actually I came to Japan. So during my study I really hated school. I was terrible student. I was really a bad student and I hated it. So at one point I couldn't stand it anymore, and I decided to go as far as I could. And I landed in Australia, and I lived 7 months in Australia. And then I came back, tried to a bit more. It was a bit terrible, but I met someone in Australia, a Japanese woman, and then we traveled around Japan from north to south. I thought it's nice, but I want to live there to see, because, you know, when you're a tourist, everything is great.
Nice.
Everything is, And so I arrived there. We split up, and I said, well, do I stay or do I leave? And I didn't speak Japanese. I didn't speak anything, like just English. And I said, well, I'm going to learn Japanese and stay here. So I stayed for 2 years, and I met my wife. And I tried to make shows which were really terrible, absolutely terrible shows with terrible work. It was really bad. but I decided, like, I felt like that was the thing I wanted to do of my life. So,
But the Japanese were very polite about it. Or they came to
actually,
your show
the
and they
Japanese
said-
were the ones who gave me my first chances. So, even though in Japan having an artistic career is like a suicide, because everyone's like, yeah, you'll never make money, and even the government doesn't help you, and no one helps you. They were the most welcoming and say, oh yeah, we'll give you a show, we'll give you a thing like this. So,
sounds good.
yeah.
So you stayed there for 2 years,
Yeah.
and afterwards you decide, okay, well, it's time to go back to Quebec.
Yes, because my wife wanted to learn art history, and she was at uni in English literature, and in Japan, schooling is extremely expensive, and you cannot change. So when you choose something, it's really hard to change department.
Yeah.
So I said, well, come to Canada, it's cheap. Now we're married, so, And then she followed me, and then, we stayed there until now.
Yeah. Because then you, what is it like after having an experience like Japan to come back to Quebec?
I mean, how is it when you've been on a vacation and you go back home?
Well, yeah, but you went there to stay there to not feel as if you're on a holiday.
Yeah, but in the end, the Japanese society is has a lot of compartments, and then you choose to follow your own, like the path that they give you, or you just go away. And it was nice. Japanese people are amazing, and my time in Japan was nice, but my dream was to be an artist, so at a certain time we had
Japan
to leave.
wasn't the place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
then I can imagine arriving back in you went back to Montreal.
yeah.
And what is the art scene like in a place like Montreal?
So Montreal is a city of 1 million inhabitants. So it's not a big. It's for us. It's big because the country is 35 million, 37 million. But compared to big art hub, it's small. It's a small thing, and it's mostly. How can I explain this? It's mostly based on what sells. Money talks, It's a lot about money. So we have a really great funding body, but what they fund, like the system is quite made into a way so that things that are pleasing and sells and that are trendy will be shown.
Yeah.
And experiment is accepted, but to a certain degree. Like visual experiment or material experiment is great, but if you need to make something a bit more political, it's a bit more difficult.
Why is this?
Because no one likes to be criticized. And if someone has the money, especially governmental bodies, they don't want to sponsor something that says, we're making people poorer. We're in a system that is just taking our time and taking our energy. They don't want this. They want like, okay, you're talk about paint. You're a painter. You're abstract painter. We like this. You make ceramic. You make sculpture that are visually pleasing and with no meaning in it. It's great.
No.
But then things that are, or it falls into kind of category that are a bit stereotypical of the kind of political art that is not really political, but just, it's trendy. This is trendy. We need to talk about this. We talk about this. And you're like...
It's what the government wants you to talk about. That's what you get money for.
Exactly. If it fits a view that is progressive, but not too...
Well, what's the progressive and acceptable view to have in Montreal right now?
the thing is, there's a lot of thing on with painting or sculpture, and sculpture in a type of way that is slightly narcissistic. You know, like the artist talks about like themselves, how they feel, how they, you know, it's like, oh, I think it's not fair. This is not fair, but it's me because I live this, and it's not necessarily a kind of greater picture of societal problems.
Yeah,
it's just me, my little reality is not easy, and you're like, yeah, okay, you know.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I understand.
We've seen it.
Yeah, but because it kind of takes away the cultural aspect of it, which is a shared way of how you deal with the world. You know, if everything is from an individual's perspective, it becomes quite complicated to kind of collectively build towards something. Because everyone's always but wait, what about my thing?
It becomes a war of those kind of me.
Yeah, it's attention grabbing kind of stuff. Yeah.
Exactly, it's a lot of attention grabbing, and then sometimes you're like, you know, there's a saying which is the writer never dirty their hand. So someone who writes never say bad things about themselves. They always say, "Oh, the rest is terrible," but never look at. So I think there's a lot, and especially in classical mediums, because, you know, I think it's maybe nowadays the most difficult medium to work with, like painting and sculpting, because you have such a enormous background of knowledge and a great artist, and trying to make something through this is, I think, difficult. And a lot of people just go through me, because you cannot say it's terrible. It's you. Yeah. It's your vision.
Yeah, it's just kind of way to make sure that nobody has a critique on the work that you make.
Yeah, you're bulletproof.
Yeah.
Like,
that's quite cheap. Or it
is cheap. Yeah.
But isn't this a problem that, I mean, it doesn't sound like a problem only of Montreal, right? You have this everywhere nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? It's kind of a degradation of the arts. But but maybe it's in not just the arts, but also in the rest of society, where people become more and more individualized, and you get more and more minority-centered movements as well. You know, and the individual is the smallest minority to have, and then, you know,
I think. Well, I mean, neoliberalism has brought us to the smallest atomic cell we could be, which is the individual. Now the individual is a company. It's, you know, you don't need a community. You're making your own community. Go on TikTok, go on Instagram, everything is about selling something from the individual, which is contrary to how society works. Society works is we're together, and then we'll build things, and we might not agree, and democracy is about exchanging opinions and discussing and building something together. But money and capitalism is about, no, you produce capital, you will make money, you are a brand, you can sell yourself, you have no one around you, make it for yourself. So I think an artist, actually, when you think of this, are the best example of neoliberalism, because no one helps us. You know, like, you're selling shit that you're producing, telling it's the greatest thing in the world, you want it, for galleries and museums and things like that, because it's our way to survive. So,
well, you produce something that nobody's requested you to make, unless
exactly.
it's a request for someone to make it. But but then and usually it has no other function but just to exist.
Yeah.
And to contribute to a certain perspective, or to maybe you can use it as propaganda maybe, but then you come into this area of, you know, the government to give you some money, you make something the government likes, and then you know, everybody's happy. But when it comes down to maybe the artist is a very good example of what we see now on TikTok and YouTube, and like everybody wants to be a content creator, and others have to consume it, but there's not enough people to go around to consume all this stuff. What are you gonna do? You're gonna sit at the computer all day watching YouTube, because that is good for someone else. But you have two kind of people. You have the maker and the consumer at some point. And if the consumer becomes a maker as well, for who are you gonna make? Because there's not enough people to consume.
Yeah.
And it's the same in the art world, where you have so many artists coming out of the art academies, but there's not enough space for them to be an artist, really. So you have to look, in my perspective, you'd have to look up, well, if you're not really generating artists, what are you contributing in their personal developments that they can take towards a different field and contribute in that sense? So what is really happening at an art academy that someone can take and become, I don't know, a manager at a paper factory or at a Christmas
Christmas roller coasters
at Disney, because I can imagine that is a way to kind of break free from it. Because we can sit here and complain that stuff is going wrong, but then we kind of they're partaking in the same victimhood that we were talking about before. It's like, oh, look at us poor artists who.
Me, I don't know if you partake in it, but I don't. I mean, like, I'm not. It's a choice. It's a kind of thing. I'm not making millions, but if I wanted to make millions, I wouldn't be in art, right?
Yeah. So, well, it depends what kind of art you would make to make millions. No,
but I mean, statistically, it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
It's like if you said, I just take a sport to be an Olympian. No, you take a sport because you like the sport, and then maybe you can bring something to the sport. So I think in the art world, we have, you can become that one-hit wonder or one in a million who gets it. And I know someone who's now like the big shot in painting, and it's great, and I'm really happy for him. But for me, what was important as an artist was to make culture. Then if making culture is important, money is just a tool. Money is just and I'm not a victim of anything. I'm just thinking that, well, I'm not making money, so I'll make culture.
Yeah, well, that's your reward compared to someone who works at the factory who takes money back home and gets their reward from maybe some stuff out of the family or.
But I think I can't generalize happiness, and I think for me it's my happiness. And paper, like managers in a paper factory, maybe they're really happy, and I just wish them they're really happy. But for me, it was. I've never entered that kind of, oh yeah, we're poor, I'm an artist, I'm poor. No, I've survived until, like, I don't know how it works in the Netherlands. Do you have a professional status for artists?
Oh, no.
No?
No, we used to.
Okay.
But they removed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there used to be funds specifically for graduates of the academies.
Oh, really?
So you go to the art academy, you know that if you want to get money to develop yourself and you work your ass off and you get into that point where you can get government funding, then there's money for you. But they kind of made it so that you can go and study as an accountant and do a couple of shows based on numbers. I don't know what kind of work you would make as an accountant. And then you can apply for the same money. So it's more about, and in a way it's very good because it makes making art and participating in this cultural development very accessible. At the same time, it kind of defeats the, there was a good development system for people who graduated from the arts academy to professionalize and find their own way. And that kind of, defeats going to the art academy for that sense. And the art academy doesn't really focus on this personal development that much. So
any academy is like
but I mean some are really traditional. They focus on working with materials and getting the techniques and stuff. But here
in contemporary art, like, I don't know.
Oh, go to Italy. Oh, absolutely. Everyone's standing in a row making the same clay sculpture. Absolutely.
But that's not how you become a contemporary artist.
No, but maybe it's a good basis. Some people really would argue that if you don't understand, if you cannot draw super realistically, then don't go straight to abstract paintings.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the arguments for Mondrian. He was a very good painter, and then he just starts making lines.
Yeah.
And there is a certain argument that from having this traditional way of working mastered, that kind of gives you the liberty to move away from this and kind of develop or experiment. Now you've won the right to experiment as an artist. And now we kind of just start there. you start experimenting with stuff because you're curious, you know.
Yeah.
And this is I think it's an interesting development, especially with the eye on money as well, because the government still decides who gets the money, and there you notice as well in the Netherlands that there's a preference. Like, we like this kind of stuff, we like that kind of stuff. And then we give them some money and see what happens.
They give money that makes them look good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. At the same time, there is a lot of critique coming to the government from the cultural sector because there's never enough money. So,
yeah, because it's seen as a useless place. It's like art is useless. So why you should be lucky we give you enough money just to survive. But you're like, yeah, but we don't survive. So
no, but it's not even that. I think the idea that art is useless is also it comes from the basis that people don't understand the value of culture. Because as an artist working with art and having this experimental part where you try stuff out and you open up subjects to communicate, talk with people about it, opens up the ability to kind of look at, from a meta perspective at the culture that you surround yourself with. And
what's the value of this?
The value of looking at culture.
I mean, the value of, of producing culture.
Well, I mean, culture. Let's look at Corona, where we had this big difficulty where we didn't know where I meet you. Do we shake each other's hand? Do we fist bump? Do we touch each other's foot? Like, how does... That's basically it's culture.
Yes, I think, yeah.
It's very elementary. But it opens up this kind of... How do we deal with very abstract or interhuman, human institute, and institute-human or institute-institute relationships? And we live in a quite complicated world now. And this experimentation with art kind of opens up the possibility to look at it without being told, oh, you're not allowed to doubt this way of how we do stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's good from the government's part to finance something like that, because else you get this kind of totalitarian...
But there's no government who wants someone to criticize them.
No, but still, I feel that in Western European environments, there's still the possibility to be critical of your government to a certain extent. Okay,
but they might not give you money.
No, but that and I personally think that that's a problem. But at the same time, it's very understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a bit part of the game, no?
Yeah.
I mean,
put the microphone a bit more to you. There you go.
But I mean, it's a bit the same for any kind of, if you spit in the soup, don't complain, it tastes weird. You know what I mean?
Is that a French thing?
No, us, it's like you don't bite the hand that feeds you. It's like, it's the same. It's true that you're not going to... I've criticized the institution within the institutions, and for a while, no one wanted to talk to me.
Really?
But but it's normal. But someone has to say it, so you say it.
No.
I mean, and the value of culture, it's worthless, but thankfully, it's worthless.
No, I don't think it's worthless per se.
But it needs to be worthless.
Nah.
Why does it has to be... Okay, so when you sing a song, like a really famous Dutch song, there should be a price to this?
No, not there's a difference between monetary value
but value is the same. It's just a translation between an object, which is money, to social value. Social value and money is exactly the same, because we're in a world where now money is status.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a difference. Yeah, okay, money can buy you status, but having a lot of money automatically doesn't give you a certain degree of status.
It does.
No.
I'm pretty sure if you're really
there's
rich,
a lot of people with a lot of money that don't have the status, but you can use that money to buy yourself status. But that doesn't make the money itself the status.
But yes, if you have enough, it's a status.
Well, but only if you do something with it.
Yeah, but having it allows you to do it.
Yeah, but it doesn't automatically give you the status.
Kind of yes, though.
No. No, it's the same as if you have a big car, but you never take it out of the garage. Does it give you status?
But yeah.
How? Nobody knows you have it.
When you invite your friend, you say,
Yeah,
look
but
at my
that's the
big car.
Yeah, but
Look,
then you
I have the car that James Bond used to use. It's the same. Do you go out with it? No.
No, but
It's really nice.
But what I mean is, the moment that you have, okay, maybe it's not taking it out of the garage. If you never show it to anyone, if you never tell anyone that you have it,
The fact that you can buy it, your surrounding knows it. And not your surrounding, your family, your friends.
yeah, but
the
that,
people.
again, it's doing something with it. If I have, maybe I have a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
You don't know, but if I don't do anything with it, then it doesn't provide me any position within the society.
Yeah,
group
but
that
the
I'm
fact of
within.
having money gives you the possibility.
Yeah. That's something else
But-
than having the status already.
But culture shouldn't have that status.
I disagree.
So people should be able to have culture
Yes,
wherever it is.
absolutely.
So, and it's not something that should have value because culture in itself is identity.
yeah,
right?
but no.
So that identity should not be something that is valued other than being given. So if you're part of a society and
Yeah.
then you say, okay, you define yourself as Dutch and you want to be part of this society, this is Dutch culture and Dutch values.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be having to pay or to...
Oh no! But
and
you
there
have to
shouldn't-
put some effort into it to make
But
it your own.
effort and value is not the same thing.
No, I don't agree.
Oh, that's really Christian.
Is that a very Christian?
Oh yes, yes.
Do tell.
Yeah.
Do tell.
Because that idea of suffering for effort and effort should be rewarded depending on the amount of effort you give.
Oh, not maybe the amount, but
the
there
fact-
is a big difference between someone making an effort and someone making no effort at all.
So would you say that Duchamp does not deserve his place in art history? Because one of the laziest artists I've seen in my entire life is Duchamp.
Yeah.
But he's the brightest.
Well,
I think that man has done more for culture by turning around a urinal than a lot of artists I've seen in my entire life.
but I don't think he actually did that. It a woman that actually did it, and he kind of
that
stole it.
belief, whose name was also Armut. Yeah, there's that belief, but he was also a woman.
Duchamp.
But yeah, Rose c'est la vie.
I don't know.
He was
Do
his
tell.
he had an alter ego named Rose c'est la vie, and you have photos of him dressed as Rose c'est la vie.
Yeah. So but is that the
But
kind of to
if
disprove
you come
the
back,
fact that
if you come back to effort,
no, but that's I'm curious to know if it does that disprove then the fact that Armut was someone else, or what is that?
it's the Armut thing is a theory.
Yeah.
No one has proven there was a woman with a name in it,
Yeah.
with her name,
Yeah.
but you don't know if it's not just him, because actually Duchamp, when he was on the jury to accept this work.
Yeah.
So he's the one who wrote the name, Armut. But the work doesn't mean it's her who made the work. He just took her name to present this as not, he couldn't put Duchamp, because people would be like, yo, you're the jury and you're also the artist.
Yeah.
But he used her name to present a work, but it's his work. It's like if I wrote your name on my thing, it's still my work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
But at the same time, I don't know if if he was in the jury of this show and she sent in this concept, and he just took the concept, put her work name on it, and then put it in the show.
yeah, that wouldn't be the first time that people steal ideas from
That
each other.
happens a lot. Yeah. But
Picasso
that's
is a great example.
But maybe why is it so acceptable in culture to do that, in arts specifically, to go around and
Everyone does it. It's not just art. Everyone.
No,
does
but I
it.
mean, if it happens in, let's say, in business has have this ability
there's
to
money.
kind of but they have a way to protect it more than within arts.
Not really.
Conceptual and contemporary arts, absolutely. The copyright laws in the Netherlands, for example, come from 1921, I think, something
Yeah,
like
but
42. I don't know.
You
exactly.
discover that in the end, like when you think about, for example, Richard Prince and the photographer Guillou, I think his name was, they went onto a legal fight about copyrights for almost a decade, I think.
Mhm.
And then the one who won was the one who had the most money, and it was Richard Prince. So
Yeah, no, it's
in
true.
the-
It's true.
in the end,
yeah.
it's
So,
laws, but
yeah.
then and then it's reused. It's reused heavily for when you take something and you steal it and you reuse it. And I'm the first one. I steal things on the internet, like, because hey, I'm not making money, so you can try to sue me. I'm making zero out of this. So what you're gonna try to do?
So you're quite personally invested in the effort part.
Yes, because I don't know why I don't think working a lot makes a great work.
No, that's.
But effort. So in the end, effort is not important.
No, I disagree. But
you
maybe
have the right to disagree.
Maybe it's the amount of effort put into something that kind of makes a difference. But I mean,
no.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, if you.
Especially. Okay.
Oh no! Wait.
Wait.
I said it wrong. If the amount of effort put into something shouldn't make a difference per se, but to take an effort to make something to begin with, it takes you effort to make stuff, right?
No.
No, but
I just put things together. I'm not
but
like
this
is not an effort.
Yeah. No.
To the scale, like if you take a kind of a scale of what is effort and me in the art, I'm probably like here. Like, nowadays I work a bit more because I make things a bit more.
You put some more effort into
a bit more effort because I have to, and I don't have enough money to pay someone to do it. But yeah, it's really low, and it's not like.
But if you wouldn't, but at effort, in my perspective, maybe it's a dictionary difference. Effort is even if I would wake up in the morning and get out of bed, that could be an effort to get out of bed.
Really?
Yeah.
That's an effort? I mean,
to put effort into something.
That's not an effort. That's a habit. You have to get up. It's like
no, not for everyone. But
like you have to get up. I mean,
no, but you take effort to maybe build this habit and maintain it.
If you want to eat, you have to get up.
No. If you want to eat,
but yeah,
you have to get up.
But yeah.
No.
I mean,
you can put the fridge right next to the bed. you don't have to go. No, but I'm genuinely convinced that making, and you come here all the way from Canada to the Netherlands. That takes effort. You have to get up and go to the
but this has nothing to do with
airport
art.
Well, yeah, you come here to make your art.
Yeah, but I could make my art at home.
Yeah. So
I could have sent. It's not the first time I sent JPEG to someone to show an exhibition. I could have done that.
Yeah, but then you put time and energy into something to get a result.
Yeah, but this is not. That's more the career side. I put an effort. This is not about art.
No, but you put time and energy into something to get a result.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an effort. You make an effort to get a result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's like there's the definition and there's the qualitative part of it. I don't think my effort. Well, nowadays, yes, I put way more effort in my work because of the type of thing I do. But I don't think a good work and effort are linked. I think good work can be really simple, and I come from a generation of conceptual artists because basically I'm a conceptual artist who uses new media, but conceptual art since the 60s has been about anyone can do it, and you don't need a lot of effort. You don't need to be like, you just need a concept. After that, you can go on to thinking is an effort. Yes, but it's not really.
No, but I mean, I'm going to put it like this: if you want to have your work seen by other people,
yes,
and you have two artists, one goes to the computer and they sends the JPEG, and the other one doesn't. The other one's getting the results.
Yeah.
So that there's a difference.
Yeah, there's a difference,
and the difference is effort.
Side. This is not on the art side.
Well,
this is the business side here.
No, business would be financial part to it.
No,
from my perspective,
it's a profit you gain out of an action. At least in my definition of business.
Yeah, but you even in art, you have to do something to get art. Is that business then right away? Just because you do something to make something?
No, the business part is the fact that you're trying to sell it to someone. You're trying not for money, but you're selling that idea, or you're trying to convince someone to take on your idea. Art, I don't care if you don't, like, you know, it's not about, I'm not trying to force you into taking my idea. I propose it. This is not an effort. This is an invitation.
Yeah, but you have to bring it to a location to get the invitation across.
No. You can see my website. I don't need to bring it to you.
Yeah, but you have to get me to your website.
Yeah, but you might not also. It's okay. I'm not here. I'm not catering to what you do. I'm just producing this.
Yeah.
A bit like a flower. A flower blooms in one place.
Yeah.
That flower is not here for you nor me. It's just here. Me, I make culture, and the thing of culture is, my attempt to culture is this. You see it. You don't see it. This is not my problem. My problem is to produce culture, and not an attempt to get something from
Then
you.
we have a different definition of culture. Because I don't believe that the culture, you can have your own bubble where you live with yourself. But culture becomes culture once it is something more than just one. So you can have your art in your studio, but then in my perspective, it doesn't become part of the culture if it's not being brought out to engage with others. If you have a culture, when you get to the monocellular bacteria, let's say, it's a group. It's not just one.
Okay, so, but the fact when I mean I'm doing culture, I'm showing it and I'm following this, but I'm not catering it to you. I'm not catering to someone else. I propose it. Yeah. So the presentation and the link between producer and the one who will manage and show the work, there, between them and we're talking about culture, but I'm not catering to people. I'm not making something so that people are like, oh, I want you to come see my show. I'll say, hey, there's my show. I'll invite you.
Oh, yeah, no, of course.
So the thing is...
And in that sense, I agree. Yeah. You don't go and make stuff so people will come and watch you. Yeah, no. And in that sense, I agree. But at the same time, if you make stuff and you want it to be part of the larger group, then the accessibility is part of that.
Yeah, but that's business. Because the spreading of it, the bureaucracy of spreading your work. I mean, when you send a portfolio or when you send anything, this has nothing to do with art.
That I agree with. Yeah, absolutely.
So all of this is business. I call business what is not art. So basically everything that is a show, a grant, some photos on Instagram, even if it's part of my work and I say, oh, okay, I'm going to make an image and put it on Instagram. This is not art. This is business. So all this is business. That has nothing to do with my definition of culture. This is not culture. This is just me trying to spread how I produce culture. Yeah. So for me, this is business. Yeah. And the effort I put in business and the effort I put in making art are absolutely not the same, because I think, for example, I will send 40 or 50 open call, 50 or open call, and I will get, let's say, 45 refusals. All that time, I think I need to invest this if I want my business to grow. But as an artist, as an artist, I will never put that much energy in it. I'll do A to B, doesn't work, I stop. And if there's a really quick way to go from A to B, I'll take it, because I have other things to do. I have friends, I have a life, I have a family. So,
well, then we agree.
There you go. The circle is done.
But but I find it interesting because participation in culture and the making of the art, there is. And maybe you call it business, and I agree in a sense. You know, the moment that you go out and you try to share your idea with others, but it's also an elementary aspect of getting others to even know that you exist.
Yeah, but this
Yeah.
is business.
Yeah, but that's the only way
Mm.
to become part of culture, or to become part of the discourse.
Yes.
Because you could make stuff, you could die, people bring it to the trash. There's no
Yeah, but that's still
cross-pollination.
like for us in Canada to become a professional artist, you have three things. You have to define yourself as an artist. You have to make objects that are not for the sake of someone else, and you have to show to your peers.
No.
If you don't have one of these three, you cannot define yourself as a professional artist.
And this is a government indicated.
It's
checkbox.
exactly. And to get a grant, you need to have the professional status.
Who checks this?
Well,
Who goes around seeing if you're interacting with peers?
so when you send, it's a really broad definition of peers. So when you send for a grant, when you send an application for a grant, they will look at your CV. And depending on how many exhibitions, what you've done, and where they were, they will define if you're a professional or if you're not a professional. And this definition has also been done in consultation with artists. So it's not just
The government.
the government, it's also artists defining what is an artist.
But they're paid by the government to do this.
It's a public consultation. So anyone who defines themselves as artists can participate in this.
Okay.
And we're having actually a discussion right now about maybe rethinking that definition, which I don't know how will change, but yeah.
Yeah, but why? Why is this an important...
What do you mean? Why is
it important to rethink the definition?
Because I think it depends on the type of art, also how this applies to certain visual centered type of art. So live art or performances. If you do a performance in the street, are the public or the bystanders your peers? No, they're not your peers, but you're still an artist. You're still producing something. So I think in this way, we have two definitions that are one more visual and one more performative. And I think now they're trying to recombine something into a broader, more encompassing definition of what a professional artist is.
Yeah, but what about conceptual arts? Because I can imagine that there's a lot of conceptual artists who don't work with visual cues per se.
Yeah, but anyways, the thing is to present conceptual art. In a way, the website is a platform to show what you do, but for a conceptual artist, you'll need someone who presents your work. So it could be a show, a gallery, whatever. You cannot just, even if you do nothing, you'll have to show somewhere that is usually peer-based. So a gallery, a museum, whatever, an event or festival or something.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, so the idea to reinvent the criteria is mostly because the peer review is too.
I think it's because that's the most difficult. The peer review thing is more based for a visual artist career than a performer.
But why? I mean, I can imagine the peer review being called into life so that your work gets into the professional circuit where other artists can look at it and you can have a discourse with them about the development and also the position that you take within that sector.
But for example, if you're a street performer, right? Who's your peer?
Other street performers.
But no, if you're alone, if you do it alone.
Yeah, but you can bring it to your peers or invite your peers over.
You could, but then normally the performance is not in a situation that is peer supported. It's just you in the street doing something, which is art. It's like they define themselves as artists. They're not working for someone else, but they don't have the peers. So how do we get these people into the system? Because they deserve as much money as anyone else. So And even if your friend comes and your friend does the same thing and none of them have ever had a grant, so when do we get a professional in the circuit so that we can just... I think it's more on this way that they're trying to reconsider the status.
But what about just calling it quits on defining professional artists? Because then anyone can apply.
But because, it's not because you can write your name, you're a writer.
No, but that's a great thing about conceptual art. I was told that everyone can do it.
That's not conceptual art. That's Joseph Beuys. But conceptual art, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
And you could do it. And I mean, I can normally, a lot of conceptual art in the 60s and until maybe the 80s was just that it was just a recipe. Like, do this, do this, do this. And I can do this. I can tell you how to make my work, and then you'll make my work, and sure, it's yours. But it's not necessarily the thing of I don't know where I was going with this, but I don't know what I think. What were we talking about?
No, we were talking about when it comes down to you can call it quits on defining professional artists, because basically anyone could be an artist.
No.
Right?
Not everyone can be an artist.
Why not?
Because of that system, and I think,
But if you cancel the system, then everyone could become an artist.
Yeah, but it's not how culture works. It's not because my grandmother does watercolor, she's an artist. She's not an artist. She's a hobbyist. Why? Because the business of making art and culture is a specialization that has been existing since the 50s. My grandmother never went to a university to learn to be an artist. She went, and I'm not saying that people with no formal education are not artists, but I mean, most of people who are self-taught are not artists, and some of them go along the way of trying to show in a gallery, in an artist run center or something like this. But nowadays, most artists come out with a master's degree, and I'm for example I'm the example that I decided not to do my master's because I hated school. So, and even now when I show my work, even though I've shown in a lot of countries and I've published texts and I've done symposium and things like this, when people don't see master's degree,
really?
They're like, no, thank you.
Wow, that sounds. I can't make the comparison to Christian, but you're not baptized, you're not really. That kind of is a comparison.
Yeah, a bit like this. Yes, because the rest of the world, have galleries and a bit less artist run center, because artist run center are usually run by artists or ex-artists, so they understand a bit more subtlety in this. But rest of the world need a paper. You need a paper to be like, you can do it.
Yeah.
Even
not
though
in the Netherlands.
Huh?
Not in the Netherlands.
Oh yeah.
For art, that is. Anything else, yeah. But for art, you can just come in and get some money.
I think it's difficult to get a. Right?
It is difficult. Yeah, but still possible.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
difficult, but not impossible. Yeah.
I mean, yesterday I was having a conversation with someone where I thought we have such a very giving system where everyone can come in. Rijksacademie, for example. You can come into the Netherlands and join in. There's no need to have any relationship with the country or anything like that. We have a lot of people coming from abroad to join the Rijks. Meaning that there's a lot of Dutch artists who don't know what to do because there's not enough space. So they go abroad. But there's not the same system outside of the Netherlands for artists. So you could go to France. Good luck trying to get a grant for anything, So there's this, in a way I like this because it provides the ability for the people who bring the best value to really to bring their value to the country. But at the same time, it generates this, what we talked about before. There's no artist bringing any critique to the party that provides them the basis of growth. So it has a lot of people who do exactly what's being told by government, and it's kind of boring.
It's kind of boring, but the Rijks get their money at the end of the year when
they get it from the government.
When they need to justify the money to the government.
Yeah. So for the Rijks, it's fine.
Yes.
But for the culture,
But culture is I think is resilient. You know, like we often think that everything's going to shit, everything is terrible. We're all, culture is just fine. Culture has always been a long, slow, difficult process. The best example is the Eiffel Tower. When they brought the Eiffel Tower, they said, this is the shittiest thing, we need to take it off, it's terrible. And now there's not one French person who tells you, oh no, and you're like, yeah, well, okay, that's enough, you know. So
but that's the
exactly the national anthem.
I thought you were doing the Liberty, Statue of Liberty.
Same
also Eiffel.
Yeah. But so culture is really slow, difficult, and it takes its time. So we're in a world where you need to be at the biggest museum at 22, and you need to. But a career is a marathon. Culture is even the longest marathon ever, and everything takes its time. Man.
But that's something I find interesting still, looking at how government is so concerned with culture. Especially the last, it becomes very visible in the last century. And during Corona, it became very visible as well, where people said that we want to define how we live our lives, the way how we treat each other and how we deal with certain stuff. You in Canada had this as well with the truckers. Isn't that a way of providing a visual cue on how things are going on based with culture?
Not really, because most of these truckers were QAnon fanatics.
I don't know QAnon.
QAnon is the belief, it's a kind of conspiracy theory that actually we're all managed by lizards, and that all the world leaders are pedophile, and the only person who can save us from this is Donald Trump.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. He's coming back. He's got his Twitter back now.
Yeah, wow.
It's going to be fantastic. He's not going to post, sadly, because he got True Social now. We could have had such a beautiful world with so many tweets, but sadly.
Yeah. The tweeter-in-chief.
Yeah.
But,
no, that's Elon. Or wait, no, that's the what did he call himself, Nelson? Do you remember? Something twit.
Yeah, the twit.
Yeah, the twit. Yeah.
So these freedom truckers, as much as the government had a big problem in the management of individual freedoms and freedom of speech, people who were speaking were usually racist, conspirationists, and also science deniers. So as much as I understand it shouldn't have been handled like this, the people who were there were not really the pulse of what Canadian society thinks about. It's a fringe minority that got emboldened by a guy with an orange tan in America. So,
but that's a lot of truckers that are part of the.
That wasn't that much.
It looked like a lot.
Yeah, it looks like a lot, but Ottawa is a small city, so everything looks like a lot. You put 4 people next to each other, and then it's a riot. So.
Really?
No.
It must be a riot every day in Ottawa.
Yeah, exactly. But because it's the only city.
Yeah, because the only perspective that we get is the stuff that you see on the internet, and the stuff that's being put on the national television.
Yeah, and the internet is always right.
Well, I mean, to a certain extent, they've been right more often than I'd like to admit.
Really?
Yeah. No, but I mean, genuinely, at some point, I'm curious as to which one to believe. My own local television show that's telling me exactly what's being told by their government to tell me, or the internet, which is people picking up their phone and showing stuff what's going on. I mean, sure, there's a lot of idiots around there that show stuff just to kind of influence me. You know, they have an agenda, but maybe that's an important thing, is to keep in mind that there's always an agenda behind it.
Yeah, every propagation of knowledge, whatever the knowledge is directed into a certain vision.
So, when I go to your website, I one of the videos that I clicked on had this riots stuff going on. So, I mean, in a certain sense, you're involved.
With riots?
Well, I mean, you use this footage.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me a bit about how you work, what your subject matters are that you get yourself involved with, and maybe what you're working on right now when you're in Enschede.
Okay, so as a basis, I work with the notion of Derridian difference. So difference for Derrida was because he wrote it differently than the normal word in French. He wrote it with an A, but when you hear it, it doesn't sound, it's the same thing as difference. But when you read it, it's different. So for him, one thing that was interesting is that by the change of one letter, you could create a spacing, not only temporal, but conceptual, that allows for reconsidering any type of subject. So take a beer made by a big company.
Yes, absolutely.
We put artsafari.show on it, and then it becomes your beer. And then we don't think about even though we know what's behind it, the distance that you create through that change allows for discussion. So what I do is always take something, transform it a little bit to a point where you kind of know where it is, and then see the potential for transformation. So now, talking about riots, I took the story of two dogs, Sausage and Cinnamon, which are known as the riot dogs. And in 2011 in Greece, during the austerity, because Greece almost got bankrupt. So during that time, the IMF gave them a package to save them from bankruptcy, but they said, well, you'll have to cut retirement, pension, and everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
So out of this, there were a lot of protests against those measures. And during those protests, there were always these two dogs. And I was thinking about these two dogs who have nothing to win are still helping other people. And when I dug a bit more into that movement, which was called the Aganaktismeni, this movement also was one of the first movement, and with the other movements in 2011, as like the Arab Spring and everything, that had a heavy use of technology. So then I thought, how can I mix the story of these dogs and the use of technology to insensitize people or to make them experience something different, or to make them believe that they are capable of more than they think. So what I did was...
Why do you want to do that?
I think it's part of my own struggle, as for a long time I've been criticizing things, but I've never had an answer to that. It's easy to say, capitalism is terrible, we're all going to shit, the environment is terrible, we're all killing it. But then when you come to the nit of it, you're like, so yeah, but what can I do? And often I think as an individual, you think, I can't do nothing, because you see all the things that are piling up. You think, man, it's the end of the world, we'll never do it. But through learning a bit more about this social movement, I discovered that individual participation helped also create a political party which came to power, Syriza. So I decided, like, okay, I tried to do things or to help people in my entourage and my community, but I think it's not enough. So what can I do, or how can I do, or how can I use something to just make people believe that they can do more than they can? And it's mostly because I feel that sometimes I, as an individual, am powerless against what's happening. But I also believe a lot in what we're capable of doing together without necessarily having to rely on an institution or a system.
That's very anarchist.
No. A lot of people say this, but I'm not against institutions. I just don't. I
want to be dependent on them.
I think that as soon as you enter in a system or an institution, you're regimented by it. It could be, and when I say an institution, it could be just a group, like a group of people that, like, you could say the left or the right, and you enter the left and you have to be that kind of leftist, but which has a lot of problem. You enter the right, is even more problems. So I didn't find myself into these two political parties. So, but I understood that I could do things for my own community without necessarily needing to be part of anarchy. Or I still believe in government, and I still believe, I strongly believe in paying my own fair share of taxes, in participating, the fact that I cannot help everyone, my taxes, I do believe, and I do hope to believe that my money, the money that I make and I give to government, will be helping people, and it normally does. So I'm not against institutions as anarchists are, but I also believe in the fact that it's not because you're part of a government that you need a government to help you. You can be doing things together, and I think a lot of things that are smaller, less institutionalized, have more impact than just, NGOs or things like this, because NGO is a business like any other type of, you come here, the government gives you money, you give food to people, you don't know if they're going to be better. They're fed, you've done your quota, you go back to another country. So, but I really believe that together, if we have those small pockets of community, we can actually transform our own society. In the same way as culture. Culture, I don't think, is an individual. Culture is, and as much as I hate some of the art that is done, I understand that these people, together as a collectivity, we are making culture. We are just one piece of the puzzle. No matter if I fucking hate what you do, I believe that it's important that you're here, that in 5, 10, 20, 30 years, we'll decide as a community, this is important. And it's the production of culture, I think.
Yeah. But we go back to the culture discussion. We're trying to get towards your work. No, but and it's an interesting discourse, and we can talk about it for hours, because it is a very interesting development that we go through nowadays, especially with the government-funded art that has a very strong political movement in it. In the Netherlands, you have to sign off on a certain criteria of specific cultural angles within your function as an institution if you want to get funding for culture as an institution. Meaning that it already defines how and in what way you will make art, or what kind of art you can show. So it limits and in that sense, I have my question marks with it being art, because for me, the experimentation and the ability for it to fail is very important. You shouldn't be afraid that someone will come knocking on your door afterwards saying, "Yeah, you didn't make the kind of art we wanted. It's time to get some money back."
I understand what you mean. Yeah.
And that kind of it itches a bit. But when it comes down to what you say, when in Greece, for example, with these 2 dogs, those are real dogs, right?
Yeah, they were actually these 2 dogs. One of them, Sausage, was declared Time Person of the Year in 2011 by the Times Magazine.
I didn't read Time back then. Still don't.
Me neither. Me neither. But I discovered this while searching.
That's cool. At the same time, how do you know that they aren't put there by the government to kind of instigate violence?
They're stray dogs.
They're stray dogs. Yeah, but they could be undercover.
Exactly. The spy glasses.
Romeo dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Because actually that dog belonged to a homeless person. And then the name of the dog was Theodore, and during the protest they discovered that this dog was always eating sausages. So everyone called it Sausage. So it became Sausage, and the dog was also the dog died in 2012 of complication because of
too much sausage
of the gas
it's quite
gas
serious,
grenades and things like this. But it died peacefully, so it's all right.
It died because of exposure to gas.
But I mean, if you're always in the protest at one point,
fair enough. Yeah. Is this I can imagine that there are some unique that it could be a development of unique diseases in the group of people that are always protesting against the government.
Probably,
because of tear gas inhalation, that kind of stuff. So but you have this goal, this idea of getting people more engaged into or participating, maybe.
I would like
to activate them. How do you try to achieve that?
So for the thing that you might have seen on the website, it's actually based on an installation. So I recreated the Greek parliament and the place, the public space that is just in front of the parliament where people used to protest. So I remodeled everything in 3D. So I had to work hard and invest time. I wish I was rich to make someone else do the things. But so I redid this, 3D printed it, and made an augmented reality. So I made an app, and then people would answer certain questions, and it would give them a number. And when they would finish the questionnaire, they would be put actually in a protest, a live simulation of a protest. And the nearer from the dog they would be, the more socially impactful they were. So they could see themselves not only believe they're good, but they could also see kind of scientifically, if we can say, how implicated they were in society. So I didn't tell them, let's go help your local food bank or whatever. But I wanted to see, it's part of actually self-perception theory, is a lot of what you are is based on what other people say. Mm-hmm. And it's self-perception theory is also used for, we'll talk about the World Cup right now, but about professional soccer players. So professional soccer players are filmed, and then they see themselves playing. And actually just by seeing themselves play, they're getting better. Mm-hmm. So the perception that you have of yourself helps you transform how you behave. Mm-hmm. So what I wanted to use is take this, put it into the digital world, and make them see, you're really with society, or you're not enough with society. You can be more. And give them at least the choice. Maybe they will continue or pursue their social implication or not. But what I want to do is just show them. And I don't want to be, I don't want to create a propaganda like, let's go everyone, help But I want to put the viewer in a place where it's their choice. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I produce an experience. And then, so you have this, and then around it, you have the 3 videos. The video of the dog that explains its journey. And you have on each side of the space, you have the police and the protester. So when the viewer enters, he or she is in the middle of all this. And then again, it's up to them to discover who they are and what they belong to.
But you don't want to tell them, you don't want to rile them up.
No.
But at the same time, you do tell them, you have criteria in the program that define.
So
yes
it's basically, yes. So it's just a questionnaire, like it's 10 questions with 4 choices.
Mm-hmm.
And it just actually is based on my research on seeing what kind of people usually are socially active, and and what their interests are and things like this. So it's based on academic research, but it's not like exactly 100%.
No, yeah.
So,
but what is it to be socially engaged?
Socially engaged, it could be like, are you part of a union? Are you volunteering? Do you think we should give more money to other countries, or should we only pay for what we use? And those kind of questions just shows you if you're more on the individualist side or communitarian side.
In that sense, yeah. But especially the part, I mean, I try to figure out what is the individual or the society answer for giving money to other countries then, as an example. Because that I can argue from both sides, being if you're from Greece and stuff's not going so very well for your country, you're going to say, no, let's not do.
Well, but this is not, for example, this is not true, because the most indebted country in the world is Germany. And the only country who's never paid any of their debt is Germany. So when Greece said, no, we're going to do like you, we're not paying, we're not accepting this is not our financial crisis, it's the bankers' thing, and bankers are going to pay this. Then suddenly all the bankers and Germany said, hey, whoa, no, you're not going to do this. We're not paying, but you have to pay. So then they put sanction and closed banks. So, it's the IMF wasn't helping them. It was just trying to just strangle them and then say, okay, now that we close bank and you don't have access to your own money, so how are you going to do this? Are you going to pay? And then they said, yes, we're going to pay. But, it's not that kind of savior kind of money. It's more sneaky than this. So.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I was alive back then. I've seen it happen. And I was quite concerned at that time. We managed to get out of it all right-ish. Yeah. But at the same time, we're also getting into a new kind of global crisis, with I mean, you mentioned Qatar. I find this a very interesting development, where yesterday I was at a government meeting about how we're going to spend the money for culture in the next 6 years, and there's a corner, everyone dressed up in orange, shouting at the TV because there's football on, and I know for a fact that if you would go to these people, because it's a private gathering in quite a posh environment. These are most likely businessmen from the area. They will all say, "Oh, it's terrible what's happening down there," But they're standing there and cheering on the football still. So there's a strange kind of. We are all very well aware of what's happening, but we're still willing to accept a certain, it's bad, but I'm still going to watch, And at the same time, there's this, especially within culture, the decolonization movement, the racism part of it, there's this very strong of, the way how things used to be is terrible. There's more slaves around the world than there's ever been. So it's a very, very hypocritical position to be in. So in a way, Germany is kind of the way how we are all acting.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, Germany's saying, I know we're a lot of debt and we never paid any debt off, but we're going to hold other people to the consequences. But we're not going to do it ourselves. It's terrible what they do, but we're not going to act properly ourselves.
Yeah, it's the same as America. Yeah.
So in a sense, it's interesting because I don't think that there's very many sectors where it touches so directly to the subject matter that people are involved in than art. Where in art, everybody is very, very engaged, especially in the Netherlands, very engaged with these subject matters. Maybe because we have this colonial history. Every museum that has a collection is actively trying to figure out a way how to decolonize their historical collections, changing names of paintings by Turner, this kind of stuff. Paintings that actually try to depict the slave trade as a negative action are being renamed because it reminds of slavery. You know, this is a strange development. And in a way, I feel that kind of borders on this whole government defining art, defining culture kind of thing that we were talking about before. Because there's this. We don't seem to really talk about this at all. We're all just acting. The same as with Qatar. There's no real discussion about it. We just just push it away. It's not good, but we're still kind of watching the football taking place.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. We're all. I think most of people watching football is not saying, yeah, Qatar is this terrible, but then what can we do? And that's the feeling of
not watch football, maybe not watching the football.
It's gonna. We both know it's not gonna help the slaves in Qatar to, you know.
No, but the thing that
it doesn't.
FIFA's kind of hot on the viewers.
FIFA has always been like, I mean, Rio, it was the same. All the you know. They discovered that the guy left with 20 million euros. Oh my God! Are you surprised? No, it's not surprised. Like, the thing is that it's. I think for everyday people, I think there's that feeling of powerlessness that you say, you know, I can't do anything. And it's not because you're not going to watch it that it's going to change anything. The dice, like, you know, everything has been thrown. We know it's going to go. It's going. The slaves have been there. We've accepted everything. And some people say, no, it's just to show that we're better than them and we're going to win the cup. And you're like, bro, that doesn't work either.
No, but I mean, if you are talking about wanting to provide people a perspective on their own position, you know, being either engaged or not so much engaged, then I can see a clear link between or a certain degree of critique upon the people who say, well, you know, yeah, what can I do? I'm just part of a large group. What can I as an individual do against this big problem? Whereas we all have this degree of power with the ability to decide. We have certain decisions we can make. If I go out and I buy this brand of beer or another brand of beer, if enough people don't buy this brand of beer anymore, all of a sudden, you know, it's no longer available because nobody buys it.
Yes, but okay, that works for your beer, but for Qatar, what are you going to do? For example, what's the action that you as an individual can do? Not watching Qatar, like, is not going to change anything. We both know it. Because
I understand that.
So then that's what I want to show.
But me not buying this beer is not going to change anything.
Depend for how long. It's still money.
But if I, as one individual, is not going to buy this beer for 20 years, it's not going to make a difference.
That's actually the arguments that people use when they don't want to vote. It's like my vote doesn't change. But I tell you...
No, I agree. And not buying the beer, but you need more people not buying the beer.
Yeah, of course. And when you tell them... the thing is, I want to just open on the fact that I don't want to tell them... I know, like, there are questions. You can't do anything. Like, I mean... Would I tell people to stop using Amazon to help the earth? Probably. I'm pretty sure the lack of luxury that we have nowadays, asking to people, say, you should cut on Amazon, is preposterous, because that's not what is going to change the end of the world or the environmental crisis. But I want to show them, on the contrary, that even though you feel powerless for a lot of things, everyone has a small power. And it doesn't mean like you're not going to change Qatar. Nothing is going to change Qatar. It's done. It's going to happen. It's going to be finished. And then everyone after this will say, it's terrible. But as an individual...
At least we won.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Us, the free world. Home. The free world that saved the world. Yeah. But what I want to show is actually that individual who have felt powerless for so long have also a small part of power. And I want to show them this power and then give them the possibility to choose. Will you use it or will you go back to your daily life and just forget about it? This is up to the viewer.
Yeah.
Because a lot, I think, especially in art, we love, and institutions even more, we love to teach everyone what they need to think and what they need to do. So me, on the contrary, instead of taking the viewer as a passive human being who just eats knowledge, on the contrary, I create an experience in which I ask you a question. And I specifically ask people not to explain my work because I don't need to explain my work. If I did my job correctly, you'll understand it. And then I do not have the universal truth. I'm just making art and I try something. And then you can tell me it's shit. You can tell me, you can destroy things. It's possible. And I have to take that burden that it could happen. And more, I'm trying to transform the viewer into a player, like a video game player. A video game player can destroy an entire video game. Even if, people spend 300 million on it and it's really famous, you can destroy a game. So I want also people to have that agency on, I give you the tool, you'll see who you are as a player, and then you go back into real life and you do whatever you want. But it's up to you. You know what you can do. And that's what I aim at more than, I don't want to tell, I don't have any truth. I'm just, like anyone else. I'm trying to survive.
So you're kind of holding up a mirror and showing people themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if I do my job right, the mirror is good. If I didn't do my job right, no one will see nothing.
Well, maybe they see these funny mirrors.
It's like bigger or exactly. Maybe
they see themselves and like, I don't like that, or maybe I do. And
for example, the show I was explaining to you before, I've had people who were in the student movements in 2012 in Canada, and they went to see the show, and when they heard everything, they said, my body reacted like if I was in a protest. So for me, it was not what I intended, but I think I touched something inside these people that positioned them inside the work. And that's what I want. I want to position them, and I want them to understand their position. And the second part, like the work I'm doing right now in Enschede, is I'm trying to make I'm still taking the story of the dog, but actually I'm placing it into the funeral of the dog. I'm inviting people to the funeral of the dog, and people will be able to produce a monument to that dog who selflessly gave its own life for these protests and for the betterment of society. And we'll see if everything works like it should, but normally people will be paired with other people they don't know, but that are in the space, and they will have to do tasks together. So bridging actually people, how to use technology to bridge, to force people to be together, regardless of political affiliation. Because I think since 2016 and with Corona, we had a lot of polarity between left and right. And I think a lot of extreme in both spectrum is about disenfranchisement. People felt they were not understood or not. So I'm just trying to bring people together and see that, you might be different, but by being together, you can produce something that is beautiful or respectful or grand or something like this. And it's not, it's that them seeing themselves, not me telling them, you're a great person, you do it. No, just Do the task, and you'll see that if you're with someone you've never met, you can do something and build something with someone that normally, if you knew who that person was, you'd be like, oh, no, I would never do it.
Yeah.
So trying to bridge a bit like that separation that we have, because, you know, it's the Titanic. So the boat is drowning, and we need to be together in the same boat. So, and we need to find a solution to go back to Earth, or we're gonna perish. So I think just by bringing small acts of collectivity, people come back and say, well, if I was able to do this with that person, I can do it with my neighbor. I can do it with... And I don't push that idea, but slowly I just want to show them that it's possible.
No, the other thing you need to be is a dog who really likes sausages in the middle of a big crowd.
But you'd be surprised how human also have... how can I say? Because I think also a lot of because of powerlessness, we push a lot our own desire and our own aspiration into dogs and cats. You know, the Egyptian had cat god, but I'm telling you, internet has also dog and cat gods. So nowadays, by bringing a dog into a conversation, you make people entice into a story, and then you can bring them really far just because it's a dog, because everyone loves a dog. Everyone loves a cat. You know, they're not bad. Dogs and cats are beautiful. And that there's a whole mythology around these domestic cats that we project, and that makes us feel better. And that you can use this and just say, hey, look, these dogs, they did this. So think about you. You could do it.
Thank you very much. And we don't forget to clap. No, but there's 2 claps. No, yeah, okay, good. No, that's good.
It's good? It was too good.
If we do it at the same time, then we have, it's still difficult to see.
Oh, okay.
There's a bit of a difference in the, yeah.
One more?
Yeah, no, that's good.
No, that's good.
Oh, it's good? Oh, wow. Well, thank you.
I was having a really bad flu just a week ago, and so my nose is still a bit runny. So I had this. Everything's going good.
Wow. But what I want to do is just show them, and I don't want to be, I don't want to create a propaganda like, let's go, everyone, help But I want to put the viewer in a place where it's their choice. And I produce an experience, and then, okay, so you have this, and then around it, you have the 3 videos, the video of the dog that explains its journey, and you have on each side of the space, you have the police and the protester. So when the viewer enters, he or she is in the middle of all this. And then, again, it's up to them to discover who they are and what they belong to.
But you don't want to tell them, you don't want to rile them up.
No.
But at the same time, you do tell them, you have criteria in the program that define
so
yes
it's basically, yes. So it's just a questionnaire, like it's 10 questions with 4 choices. And it just actually is based on my research on seeing what kind of people usually are socially active, and and what their interests are and things like this. So it's based on academic research, but it's not like exactly 100%.
No, yeah.
So,
but what is it to be socially
socially engaged? It could be like, are you part of a union? Are you volunteering? Do you think we should give more money to other countries, or should we only pay for what we use? And those kind of questions just shows you if you're more on the individualist side or a communitarian side.
In that sense, yeah. But especially the part, I mean, I try to figure out what is the individual or the society answer for giving money to other countries then, as an example. Because that I can argue from both sides, being if you're from Greece and stuff's not going so very well for your country, you're going to say, no, let's not do...
Well, but this is not... for example, this is not true. Because the most indebted country in the world is Germany. And the only country who's never paid any of their debt is Germany. So when Greece said, no, we're going to do like you, we're not paying, we're not accepting this. This is not our financial crisis. It's the bankers' thing. And bankers are going to pay this. Then suddenly all the bankers and Germany said, hey, whoa, no, you're not going to do this. We're not paying, but you have to pay. So then they put sanction and closed banks. So, it's the IMF wasn't helping them. It was just trying to just strangle them and then say, okay, now that we close bank and you don't have access to your own money, so how are you going to do this? Are you going to pay? And then they said, yes, we're going to pay. But, it's not that kind of savior kind of money. It's more sneaky than this. So.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I was alive back then. I've seen it happen. And I was quite concerned at that time. We managed to get out of it all right-ish. Yeah. But at the same time, we're also getting into a new kind of global crisis, with you mentioned Qatar. I find this a very interesting development, where yesterday I was at a government meeting about how we're going to spend the money for culture in the next 6 years, and there's a corner, everyone dressed up in orange, shouting at the TV because there's football on, and I know for a fact that if you would go to these people, because it's a private gathering in quite a posh environment. These are most likely businessmen from the area. They will all say, "Oh, it's terrible what's happening down there," But they're standing there and cheering on the football still. So there's a strange kind of. We are all very well aware of what's happening, but we're still willing to accept a certain, yeah, it's bad, but I'm still going to watch, And at the same time, there's this, especially within culture, the decolonization movement, the racism part of it, there's this very strong of, the way how things used to be is terrible. There's more slaves around the world than there's ever been. So it's a very, very hypocritical position to be in. So in a way, Germany is kind of the way how we are all acting.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, Germany's saying, I know we're a lot of debt and we never paid any debt off, but we're going to hold other people to the consequences. But we're not going to do it ourselves. It's terrible what they do, but we're not going to act properly ourselves.
Yeah, it's the same as America. Yeah.
So in a sense, it's interesting because I don't think that there's very many sectors where it touches so directly to the subject matter that people are involved in than art. Where in art, everybody is very, very engaged, especially in the Netherlands, very engaged with these subject matters. Maybe because we have this colonial history. Every museum that has a collection is actively trying to figure out a way how to decolonize their historical collections. Changing names of paintings by Turner, this kind of stuff. Paintings that actually try to depict the slave trade as a negative action are being renamed because it reminds of slavery. This is a strange development. Yeah. And in a way, I feel that kind of borders on this whole government defining art, defining culture kind of thing that we were talking about before. Because there's this. We don't seem to really talk about this at all. We're all just acting. The same as with Qatar. There's no real discussion about it. We just just push it away. It's not good, but we're still kind of watching the football taking place.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. We're all. I think most of people watching football is not saying, Qatar is this terrible, but then what can we do? And that's the feeling of
not watch football, maybe not watching the football.
It's we both know it's not gonna help the slaves in Qatar to,
No, but the thing that it doesn't. FIFA's kind of hot on the viewers.
FIFA has always been like, Rio, it was the same. All the they discovered that the guy left with 20 million euros. Oh my God, are you surprised? No, it's not surprised. Like, no. The thing is that it's, I think for everyday people, I think there's that feeling of powerlessness that you say, you know, I can't do anything. And it's not because you're not going to watch it that it's going to change anything. The dice, like, you know, everything has been thrown. We know it's going to go, it's going. The slaves have been there. We've accepted everything. And some people say, no, it's just to show that we're better than them and we're going to win the cup. And you're like, bro, that doesn't work either.
No, but I mean, if you are talking about wanting to provide people a perspective on their own position, you know, being either engaged or not so much engaged, then I can see a clear link between or a certain degree of critique upon the people who say, well, you know, yeah, what can I do? I'm just part of a large group. What can I as an individual do against this big problem? Whereas we all have this degree of power with the ability to decide. We have certain decisions we can make. If I go out and I buy this brand of beer or another brand of beer, if enough people don't buy this brand of beer anymore, all of a sudden, you know, it's no longer available because nobody buys it.
Yes, but okay, that works for your beer. But for Qatar, what are you going to do? For example, what's the action that you as an individual can do? Not watching Qatar, like, is not going to change anything. We both know it. Because
I understand that.
So then that's what I want to show.
But me not buying this beer is not going to change anything.
Depend for how long. It's still money.
But if I, as one individual, is not going to buy this beer for 20 years, it's not going to make a difference.
That's actually the argument that people use when they don't want to vote. It's like my vote doesn't change. But I tell you...
No, I agree. And not buying the beer, but you need more people not buying the beer.
Yeah, of course. But when you tell them... the thing is, I want to just open on the fact that I don't want to tell them... I know, like, there are questions. You can't do anything. Like, I mean... Would I tell people to stop using Amazon to help the earth? Probably. I'm pretty sure the lack of luxury that we have nowadays, asking to people, say, you should cut on Amazon, is preposterous, because that's not what is going to change the end of the world or the environmental crisis. But I want to show them, on the contrary, that even though you feel powerless for a lot of things, everyone has a small power. And it doesn't mean like you're not going to change Qatar. Nothing is going to change Qatar. It's done. It's going to happen. It's going to be finished. And then everyone after this will say, it's terrible. But as an individual...
At least we won.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Us, the free world. Home. The free world that saved the world. Yeah. But what I want to show is actually that individual who have felt powerless for so long have also a small part of power. And I want to show them this power and then give them the possibility to choose. Will you use it or will you go back to your daily life and just forget about it? This is up to the viewer.
Yeah.
Because a lot, I think, especially in art, we love, and institutions even more, we love to teach everyone what they need to think and what they need to do. So me, on the contrary, instead of taking the viewer as a passive human being who just eats knowledge, on the contrary, I create an experience in which I ask you a question. And I specifically ask people not to explain my work, because I don't need to explain my work. If I did my job correctly, you'll understand it. And then I do not have the universal truth. I'm just making art and I try something. And then you can tell me it's shit. You can tell me, you can destroy things. It's possible. And I have to take that burden that it could happen. And more, I'm trying to transform the viewer into a player. Like a video game player. A video game player can destroy an entire video game. Even if, people spend 300 million on it and it's really famous, you can destroy a game. So I want also people to have that that agency on, I give you the tool, you'll see who you are as a player, and then you go back into real life and you do whatever you want. But it's up to you. You know what you can do. And that's what I aim at more than, I don't want to tell, I don't have any truth. I'm just, like anyone else. I'm trying to survive.
So you're kind of holding up a mirror and showing people themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if I do my job right, the mirror is good. If I didn't do my job right, no one will see nothing.
Well, maybe they see these funny mirrors.
It's like bigger or exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe
they see themselves and like, I don't like that, or maybe I do. Yeah.
And for example, the show I was explaining to you before, I've had people who were in the student movements in 2012 in Canada, and they went to see the show, and when they heard everything, they said, my body reacted like if I was in a protest. So for me, it was not what I intended, but I think I touched something inside these people that positioned them inside the work. And that's what I want. I want to position them, and I want them to understand their position. And the second part, like the work I'm doing right now in Enschede, is I'm trying to make I'm still taking the story of the dog, but actually I'm placing it into the funeral of the dog. I'm inviting people to the funeral of the dog, and people will be able to produce a monument to that dog who selflessly gave its own life for these protests and for the betterment of society. And we'll see if everything works like it should, but normally people will be paired with other people they don't know, but that are in the space, and they will have to do tasks together. So bridging actually people, how to use technology to bridge, to force people to be together, regardless of political affiliation. Because I think since 2016 and with Corona, we had a lot of polarity between left and right. And I think a lot of extreme in both spectrum is about disenfranchisement. People felt they were not understood or not. So I'm just trying to bring people together and see that, you might be different, but by being together, you can produce something that is beautiful or respectful or grand or something like this. And it's not, it's that them seeing themselves, not me telling them, you're a great person, you do it. No, just do the task, and you'll see that if you're with someone you've never met, you can do something and build something with someone that normally, if you knew who that person was, you'd be like, oh, no, I would never do it. Yeah. So trying to bridge a bit like that separation that we have, because, it's the Titanic. So the boat is drowning, and we need to be together in the same boat. So, and we need to find a solution to go back to Earth, or we're gonna perish. So I think just by bringing small acts of collectivity, people come back and say, well, if I was able to do this with that person, I can do it with my neighbor. I can do it with, and I don't push that idea, but slowly I just want to show them that it's possible.
No, the other thing you need to be is a dog who really likes sausages in the middle of a big crowd.
But you'd be surprised how human also have, how can I say? Because I think also a lot of, because of powerlessness, we push a lot our own desire and our own aspiration into dogs and cats. The Egyptian had cat god, but I'm telling you, internet has also dog and cat gods. So nowadays, by bringing a dog into a conversation, you make people entice into a story, and then you can bring them really far just because it's a dog. Because everyone loves a dog, everyone loves a cat, they're not bad. Dogs and cats are beautiful, and that there's a whole mythology around these domestic cats that we project, and that makes us feel better, and that you can use this and just say, hey, look, these dogs, they did this, so think about you. You could do it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to Art Safari. Art Safari is made possible with the support of the Mondrian Fund, the Municipality of Enschede, Willem de Bank Foundation, and Bauerheim Foundation. For more episodes, you can find us on Spotify or visit www.artsafari.show. Or you check out our YouTube channel, where all episodes of Art Safari are available to listen to and to watch. Until the next time.